Hey folks, welcome back to my channel. I'm Angel, and as you'll see we have a brand new intro and channel art because everything just got super snazzy over here. Figured I'd do it pretty soon before things go much further. Welcome to Concrete Municipal, or Mears Field, out here in Washington State on the west coast of the US. We're flying Carenado as Piper Seminole today, and we're taking a short flight from here to Orcas Island, one of my Pacific Northwest home bases right now. Wanted to give this plane a real proper flight and see how she really handles as a little overland tourer. Obviously its main purpose being twin training and touring, so why not give it a go? Let's hop straight in and get to work as pressy buttony, thank you. Right, power is on, so we probably go to do the static elements and power and the tow bar. Let's close all our, we'll leave that for now. We'll close our door. Microsoft, of course, in Asobo patched the 3D elements issue that we were having with some aircraft, so let me just get rid of the yoke for now while I start us up. Beacon and nav are on. Where's my boost pumps? They're in here somewhere. They do like to hide. Need to get those mapped to buttons. It'll make my life so much easier. Right. Okay, or prime. That's your cue to start, engine. Unless I still have 0 fuel tanks selected. This is one thing that always kind of gets me with some of these ones. I never remember where the fuel cock is. As, for some reason, the sim says, "Hi, let's not do anything you ask us to do." There it is, down there. In a place where I can't see it. Thank you, Asobo. I really appreciate you doing this. Where are you? Come on. This should be the simple part. The fuel system. There we go. And we have RPM. Parking brake is set. Let's make sure that it's on. And we'll prime right and start right. There we go. Already got our frequencies dialed in for multicom here at Mears and multicom further out at Orcas, so we should be good to go. Mears traffic, Seminole, November 403 Sierra X-ray, we're taxiing for departure 27. Right. Let's knock this off and get ourselves moving, shall we? Yeah, the oversensitive rudders in FS 2020 definitely bothers me because it means ground handling becomes incredibly derpy because you have to have your pedals set so insensitive. It's annoying. Okay. We'll get ourselves back taxied and we'll get ourselves ready to go. Entering runway 27. Gonna be departure to the west. 03 Sierra X-ray. Nice and quiet here today, so it should be an easy little flight. Not a huge one, we're about 20 minutes in the air, but should be a nice relaxing little trip. And I've not done as many of these flight trips as I would like to do. They're something I really enjoy doing and I love sharing with you guys, so to me that's very important. And this gives me a proper time to really kick the tires on this this Seminole. Apparently my review generated quite a lot of amusement over at AvSim, but as I try and keep stressing to people, I'm not a twin pilot. I'm not a professionally trained twin pilot. I generally know how to handle them in sim, but in general I'm testing planes in my reviews like, well, based on feeling. Because to me, feeling is important because it's what the average simmer is going to experience, and they want to know how they'll experience the aircraft, not how someone who spent 2 weeks studying the manual, who has several hundred hours on twins, will experience it. That's not their experience. I want to give them the purchaser's experience, if you will. Mears traffic 03 Sierra X-ray departing 27. Let's get this baby going. Okay, rolling good. Nose wants to come up now. There we go. Good rates. Pull the gear. And pull the flaps. Let's get ourselves trimmed out. Bright and sunny today. And I suspect, based on that angle, we're going to be flying right into that weather. I have got some of the Weather Pack Pro weather settings on, so if this is as bright as I think it's about to be, we may knock that off. Or at least drop down our sun visors as we roll on course. I do love the Weather Presets Pro we get from that pack. You can get it on the FTX Central site, of course. It is fantastic. Let's get ourselves trimmed. And our engines dialed to climb. Oh, there we go. Nicely does it. Get the RPM set to where we want it. There we go. And yes, we are going to basically be flying... Oh, no, we're not. We're actually flying south of our course. So we're parallel to the bright sunlight. We can actually not change our weather. So follow the valley. Looking at Garmin Pilot here. So fly basically that heading is what we're looking for. Crossing that farthest peak and out towards the bay. Should be nice and simple. Okay, we are set up here nicely. Still climbing to about 3,000. We'll knock our condition back a little bit. We'll let ourselves climb to about 4,500 feet, 5,000 feet, and we'll cruise there. It's not going to be a long cruise, so should be just fine. We're parallel to our track right now, so we'll just turn a little bit further to the north, and we should be wonderful. There we go. Oh, that'll do just nicely. So one thing I actually wanted to quickly discuss was Orbx airports. Now, as most people have come from FSX and P3D, you'll remember they were pretty heavy on your computer. You'll notice back there I had no impact. That's because, and I'm gesturing behind me with a thumb, like you can see this. In an FS 2020, you can get all that joy and excitement out of those beautiful airports with zero impact to your sim. Because, for those who don't know, FSX and P3D, they ran on a old architecture that was based around, at the time, the developers at Microsoft believed that when they were developing FSX, single core computers were just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So it ended up with 5, 6, 7, 8 gigahertz CPUs on a single core. So FSX was designed, its core engine was designed around running on a single core, a bigger one. Which is why as that ethos changed and we went multi-core, FSX never really worked because multi-core computers could have lower gigahertz cores, but more of them. Which FSX never liked. So it's taken 10-15 years to get computers powerful enough to run FSX properly in P3D, and the entire rebuild in P3D to make it a much more modern system, and even then it hasn't been great. But the Orbx airports, however stunning, ran like crap, which is unfortunate. They're amazing, they're gorgeous, but they never ran very well. And whilst the regions ran better than default scenery, I thought, the airports themselves did not. This is... Why is my baggage door still open? I just closed that on the doodah. That is a whoopsie-doodle. I thought it was noisy in here. There we go. We had the baggage door open the entire time. That is a big fat whoopsie. I don't know why I'm so stupid. Either way. Okay, so we're coming up to about 5,000 feet now. We'll just start letting the nose drift down again. As we're on an intercept course for our heading. We're not flying directly to the track and joining it. I'm going to use the GPS there, which is on a VOR track, as a guide to take us where we need to go. We are not passing through any airspace today. According to Garmin Pilot, we'll be passing over... What's this one? The Time Portal, Whiskey Alpha 47, which is a heliport. We'll be passing over the bay, just south of Bellingham, before arriving towards Orcas Island. There is literally no airspace. We miss all of it. We miss Bellingham's Class C. This is an ideal flight path, and I've just scooted past my altitude as we were talking. So we'll just let the nose drift down, throttle back a touch, let the aircraft sink a little bit, about 200 feet high, so there we go. Let the aircraft settle down here. So we're doing about 120 over the ground right now. Aircraft is done with its climb, so we should pick up a bit more speed in a moment. There we go. Put us up to about 2250 on the manifold. That's where we want to be at. So yeah, it's a huge difference, because this is designed around being a multi-core piece of software. I'll call it a game, but the rivet counters will scream at me, and that is not what I want to go for. But it is a game at the end of the day. It's something you can play, whether it's a simulator or not. You know, you'd call Train Sim a game. You'd call Hospital Surgeon Simulator a game. Granted, that one's much derpier, but yeah, the point stands. It's definitely a game that you can take seriously. I noticed a lot of the older flight simmers do tend to get very angsty when you refer to this as a video game, because video games are for them kids to be negatively influenced by and go out and commit atrocities. How else can we explain society's terrible hatred for its own people and misunderstanding of each other? No. It's video games' fault, obviously. Like, you know, it's not my fault I've been running around in Cyberpunk 2077 since it came out on Wednesday, not killing people with stealth takedowns and actually keeping them alive, because I'm a decent human being and giving people chances where I could. No, video games, I should just be off, you know, executing hookers. Because that's the reason, apparently. Okay, so we're a little bit better now. Either way, the performance on the airports is amazing. They have zero impact. They look so much better than the standard ones, and they really add to the experience, and I cannot wait for the rest of the airports in the PNW region to be added in. I hope they do them. There's some amazing ones here which I would love to fly into. There we go. Right, let's use a bit of throttle just to isolate out that climb rate. There we go. I can feel it softening off there as we just ballooned a little bit. More than I'd like. A little bit more throttle and we'll nail that down. So one thing most rookies tend to make a mistake on when they're trying to trim the aircraft is they're trimming with the trim wheel alone, and they're not considering that the engine affects the pitch. So a little bit less throttle and the nose will come down, because the faster you fly, the more you'll climb. The faster the aerofoil moves through the wing, the more lift it generates. The slower you fly, the more you sink, because you're generating less lift. So set your trim roughly and then basically dial it with the throttle, and you are happy days. As that should be Orcas Island dead ahead of us, just beyond those two little blips out in the water. You should see a big crest just about there. That's where we're heading. But either way, yeah, so the review I actually did on the Seminole has been insanely received. 6,000 plus views, which is incredible. Thank you. I know a lot of people had criticism, and that's fair enough. You know, I'll take criticism. I'm not a certified twin pilot, as I said. I have some time in a sim on them, but when I do these reviews, and I want people to understand this, I'm not going in there and telling you this aircraft flies precisely like these numbers. I've flown real aircraft. Not many, yes. A couple of light Cessnas and Pipers. But I am not an expert. So I'm not going to give you an expert's opinion. I'm going to review the aircraft like a simmer. I'm going to take my experience doing development work for video game stuff and my experience developing for flight sim to say, this performs well in the sim, these things work well, these things don't work well, this is clearly some sort of glitch, and based on what we're looking at in terms of the current roadmap of development in FS 2020, this will likely get fixed and it's worth buying regardless. And I'm going to take a look at the aircraft from the perspective of the average player, because the average player is not going to sit down and go, okay, does this fly precisely on the numbers? They're going to say, is this going to be fun to fly? Will this be an enjoyable aircraft to potter around in the simulator, log some hours? Will this be something I could really get some enjoyment out of? And 99% of them will never actually fly with a pilot handbook. Now, I mostly do, but at the same time, when I review these aircraft, I'm looking at it from a perspective of, what are my first impressions? How does it feel? Based on what I've studied since, I know that I need to be above a certain RPM on the prop so I can feather it. And I think what was also a bigger issue there was, I'm using a single throttle quadrant right now because I'm waiting for my Honeycomb Bravo quadrant to arrive, which has been pushed back twice now, from end of October to now middle of December. It's meant to be coming this week, if it ever does. But I'm running a single SciTech quadrant right now, or the Logitech one as it is now. So both my prop levers were on one lever. So when I touched one, it unfeathered the second one, so I could never properly feather that engine, which was a technical problem, let's call it, rather than it being a specifically aircraft or me problem. I physically couldn't feather it because the sim didn't recognize them as two separate axes, which was my fault based on having one quadrant. So that's an aside. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sugarcoat things or hide my mistakes. If I'm going to make a screw up and dunk the thing in the water, I'm going to show you because I want you to see that. I'm not going to sit here recording again and again and again until I get something right just to show you a perfect, beautiful, polished review, because I think honesty is important. And I think my honest first impressions are very important. And also, coming from the world of video game YouTube, if anything, to some people my mistakes are funnier than my successes. People love people making mistakes. They love to realize people are human and that things are much more real, closer to their experiences than they realize. Because everyone can sit there on YouTube and look at all the polished, beautiful successes and go, oh, I wish I was like them someday. Oh, if only I could never be that good. Oh, it's not true. These people record things like 20 times till they get it right. I like the one-shot commentary style approach to things. I think it's a lot more realistic, a lot more relatable, and a lot more authentic. And so far, I'm enjoying this plane. I will say, this is my first proper cruise with it, other than some pottering around doing circuits, and I must say it is a very enjoyable flight. I've not put the autopilot on at all. We're just pottering along, hand on yoke. It's a 20-minute flight, so it's not a big deal. The weather's gorgeous, beautiful bright sun off to our port wing. It is real nice down south there. Low autumn sun, or winter sun I should say. And me having the package door open for showing you off at the start definitely made things a little bit more exciting. Something I would have checked if I'd done a walk around, obviously, with a real plane. But it is what it is. So we're about 20 nautical miles out now from destination. It says 8 minutes for us here, so we shouldn't be too long away. It's going to drift us back to the north a few degrees. Bring us on target here. I'm also going to start us descending a little bit, because there's no point to be this high up at 20 out, because we'll pick up a little more speed, and we'll also get our altitude down, which is important. So it shouldn't take us too much longer. There we go. Let's just steady on that about 600 feet a minute descent. That's about enough for us. Don't want to go too fast or too slow, but we want to use it to our advantage in the descent phase here. Lets the plane go a little quicker, lets us use a little bit less throttle, a little bit less fuel. And it's more of an en route descent at this sort of rate. Just letting ourselves drop down. Plus, we know we need to be low because Orcas is sea level. So we're going to flip over our comm frequency to the Orcas multicom. Listen out for any traffic. So this island we're heading across now is going to be... I don't have a name on it looking at the charts. But that big island behind it, like I mentioned, is where Orcas is. Orcas should be just there behind that headland. The airport itself. So we could either swing to the south or swing to the north. We're going to enter likely a... Let me just pull up the chart here. I need to get the adapter so I can actually show you what I'm looking at on my iPad on the video screen. That'd be really cool, I think. So, runway 16 we're going to be taking today because we've got a 5-knot headwind onto 16. So, it's going to be left traffic for 16. That we can do. So, that'll be landing that way. So, if we head in this way, come down, left traffic round to 16, that should have us in good stead. Always best to plan one's approach. We've got 5 miles down already. See, we're just eating up that time, and descending early was the benefit for us. Let's let the plane sink a little bit more. Oh, there we go. Just trim the nose out so we're a little bit less aggressive on that descent. And we should be all good. I may sound a little hoarse today. Not a Shetland pony. A bit of a sore throat, but I had to record this anyway because I knew I needed to post a video. And I've been neglecting things since Cyberpunk came out, which I am thoroughly enjoying, I might add. So, every now and again a throat sweet has to go in. Otherwise I start to sound like a broken television set. Okay. Keeping track of everything down below. That'll be Bellingham just up the coast there. That there being Bellingham. And the flats just behind it. Okay. Now, I believe I checked this out last time, but... Oh, hello. That is our landing camera for the Seminole, which is quite high. I'll give it that. Right, we're at 4,000 feet and we're about 12 miles out. We need to drop that now. Let's drop some throttle here. We'll start to descend. We're going to be aiming for entering the... pass between those two islands, basically. And give us a good crosswind before we go downwind. Where are we at now? Okay, dropping at about 1,000 feet a minute. Should be okay for now. Kind of maintaining our ground speed at the moment, and I indicated is a little bit higher. The rocks down below. I must say the islands out here and the sound is just beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous flying conditions. Orcas coming up on our left now. About 1, 2, 3, 4 water ports on the island itself here, as well as Orcas Island. We've got heliports and reserved airports all over the place. Okay. Oopsie, there we go. Don't want to descend too fast. Okay, 3,000 feet, dropping down a little bit more. We should start seeing the airport coming up around the corner here. Orcas traffic, Cessna, Seminole, Piper Seminole, November 403 Sierra X-ray, inbound from the east to land, 8 miles out. Why'd I call it a Cessna Seminole? I am stupid. It is one of those days, I think. Okay. Let's let us sink more and more and more as we drop down here. I will say, from all the use I put into the Alpha Yoke now, I am thoroughly enjoying the Honeycomb products, and I will be buying the Charlie pedals when they come out. Absolutely, heck yes, I will be. Cannot wait. If it's anything like the Yoke, the Quadrant's going to be amazing. And the pedals, sign me up. 'Cause, I mean, the Quadrant is absolutely gorgeous. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. I love the way it sounds. It's absolutely gorgeous. Even if that does mean I've spent £750 on flight hardware, it's the best stuff I've used. It's the closest to a real plane that I've used. And I'm sitting here with a couple of fingers touching the side of my yoke, just easing the aircraft down. Barely feels like I'm flying. It's all about putting a little bit of pressure on the yoke and just little light movements. The whole thing feels so soft and so responsive, but it feels a lot more like a real thing, because it's rather than pulling back on the yoke, you're just putting pressure, back pressure, and it does the work for you. As I am seesawing on this descent because I'm trying to pay attention to my recording and everything else, and there goes Flight Sim again, trying to freeze up on me, because I don't know why it does that occasionally. But occasionally it has these little special moments where it thinks about what it did and regrets its life choices. Okay, 5 out. Now we need to... Okay, shut up. That's my throttle was at flight idle. Any lower, and I need to... Actually, no, we'll pull the RPM back a bit further right now whilst we're descending. Need to lose some altitude here. That's the airport up ahead. So we're going to be overflying, entering downwind for 1.6, and then making our approach. So, let's let the aircraft drop a bit further. I'd like to be about pattern altitude by the time we reach it, which will be useful, rather than descending into the pattern, which can always lead to messes and overspeed. Here we go. Nicely does it. And once again, I'm just lifting up a little bit too much. I'm so used to having to pull back on the SciTech yoke that I keep putting more pressure on the honeycomb than I really need to, and it keeps bringing my nose back up again. Where are you? Now, round that small island ahead there, so just beyond that point is what we're looking for. Oh, no, there it is. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Okay, 2,000 feet and descending. We're looking good here. Not really going over our 120 knots, which is good. Nicely does it. So make a nice wide pattern here, as I twitched a little bit again on the altitude. Come on, just sink, 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 sink. That's it. Orcas traffic, Seminole 03 Sierra X-ray. Going to be entering left downwind for 1.6 to land full stop. Okay, where are we at? There's the runway. Coming through 1,500 feet now. So we're good right now. We're not going to turn until it's behind our wing and enter the downwind phase, so we should be about 1,000 feet by then. Bright, bright sun, but it'll be to our back when we land, which is another benefit. Landing into a bright sun can be as bad as landing with a tailwind. Makes everything so much harder to see, and if you can't see, you can't fly. Not VFR per se. Okay. There we go. Bring it around gently. Nice and easy. Look at that gorgeous sun. Oh man, that is beautiful. Okay, let's put the gear down. There we go. There we go. Let's give it a little notch of flaps. And let's ease it off at pattern altitude here. A little bit spicy with the hills, but we should be fine. We'll turn base once we clear this crest. There we go. Let's clear this tree line, we'll turn base. Should be no problem whatsoever. There we go. Just take the pressure off with the trim. Orcas traffic, 03CRX returning base 16 for full stop. Okay, there we go. Runway in sight. Start our final descent phase. Orcas traffic 03CRX returning final 16 full stop landing. Here we go. Just gently bring her around. This is beautiful. Little bit beyond, but we can straighten that up. A little bit slow. Give it a bit more throttle. Angle's good. Nicely on point there. A little bit low. But it's a nice clean approach here at Orcas, so we should be fine. A little bit to right of center. That was silky. Oh yes. That was silky. Yeah, a little bit right of center line, but that was a silky touchdown. This thing glides onto the ground. Once you get used to it, this Seminole flies like a beauty. Alright, let's get ourselves off the taxiway. Here we go. And once I have my Bravo quadrant, I'll be able to actually ground steer twins using alternate throttle. Alternative thrust, sorry. Or asymmetric thrust. Orcas traffic, Seminole 03CX, very clearly active taxiing parking. Okay, so that was a beautiful little hop, and the plane handled gorgeously. Honestly, next couple of times around did not feel anywhere near as sluggish, and at current time, the Sobo hasn't broken anything on Carenado aircraft, so this was a nice little hop. Hopefully you had a wonderful Friday with me. Thank you for joining me on this flight, and I will see you folks next time once we get this thing parked up. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully, soon with a review of the Bravo Quadrant, if and when it arrives. So thanks for joining me, guys. Bye.